Genesis 42. As usual, I'm going to give you two unique or three unique takes on this particular chapter of the scripture. I believe that we all know the story. So the story itself is that after they've sold him into slavery, and after I spent so many years suffering in the house of Pilate and in prison, eventually, by the grace of God, finding his way back to a point of grace in Pharaoh's court, as predicted, famine broke out. And when the famine broke out, it affected the whole world. So people from every nation of the world began to find their way to Egypt, because Egypt was the only nation that was prepared for the famine due to the revelation that Joseph was able to interpret and prepare the nation for. The problem here was that their father, Jacob, now told the brothers that, hey, we need food. Your children are hungry. I am hungry. We need to survive. Everybody knows, everybody knew at the time that Egypt had food. And so all they had to do was get some money and go trade in Egypt and make some money and get some food. So he told the brothers to go there. Of course, you and I know that the brothers didn't expect Joseph to become anything great. They sold him into slavery. Nobody expected that young man to have become anybody of importance. Secondly, in going to Egypt, it was the fulfillment of an older dream that God gave to this young man when he was a boy, about his brothers and his father and family bowing before him. Not him especially, but the position and the knowledge, the superiority of the understanding and the positioning that he was going to occupy. And so we saw at the opening of the chapter that Jacob told the brothers to go to Egypt to go and get some grain, some food. So they went. They went to Egypt, and as soon as they got to Egypt, they found themselves right in the hand of Joseph. Now, one of the reasons they didn't recognize Joseph, as many of us would come to realize in our practical lives, is this. If you notice people travel abroad and then suddenly their accent will change, the way they dress will change, sometimes the way they look will change. And if you have spent maybe 20 years in a foreign land, living in the Pharaoh's court, so to say, and dining with him, you tend to dress like that. Joseph was dressing like an Egyptian. He was looking like an Egyptian. Everything about him smelled Egypt. If he didn't tell people that it wasn't, it was a Jew, they wouldn't even imagine that he could be a leader. And so that's the breakdown of the story in Genesis 42. Now for us to look at it practically, as we do every week. The first thing I'd like us to note is this, that God doesn't like vengeance in any way. In fact, in the Bible, there was a guy that was hell-bent on vengeance in the days of King David. And this guy happened to be David's cousin, General Joab. When David was still struggling to win over the heart of the whole of Israel, but he was king in Judah, Abner, the General Abner, was the general under Saul's army, under Saul's reign, had his own army. David, as the king of Judah, had his own army. One day, and because they were Israel and Judah were supposed to be one, but this was like a breakout. Like this particular tribe had their own king and they had their own soldiers and were ready to defend their turf. Now, the general Israel had their own army, had their own soldiers. So generally, you expected friction, just like in Nigeria history when there was Biafra and then there was Nigeria. And if a part of the country has its own army and its own king, it's an affront to the king that's in quote, the one that you say is the legal king. Saul had died, and Saul's son, who was king, was a weakling, so he couldn't do much. Abner was basically the one that was holding the whole of the kingdom of Israel together, because Saul's son couldn't really rule. They didn't have the power or the wisdom or the cunningness it takes to be a king. So the two soldiers, they met. Abner was leading one, Joab was leading the other. And when they met, they decided that, okay, well, you guys, what are you doing in our turf? What are you doing in our turf? They argued. And then they said, okay, let's do a competition. Let's see which army is better. This wasn't a war. It was just what we call maybe power tussle or maybe ego. It wasn't meant to be fatal. That was my point. They began to fight. Joab's soldiers killed some of Abner's men. Abner's men also killed some of Joab's soldiers. There was this young man called Asahel. He was a young man. He was Joab's younger brother. Asahel was determined that he was going to kill the general of the army, who was Abner. He didn't go after somebody that was his own age. It was like a recruit trying to kill a field marshal. Abner had seen war for many years, and Abner knew the rudiments of battle. He understood how to kill fatally, how to injure. He had been in battle for a long time. Asahel was a 17, 18-year-old boy. So Abner said to Asahel, hey, I don't want to fight you because of your brother. Can you please turn away? Can you go and fight somebody else? I don't want to fight you. But Asahel was ambitious. Asahel felt if he could kill Abner, he would become a hero. And so Abner began to run away from battle, from that contest, and Asahel continued to chase him. Again, Abner stopped on the way and told this young man, turn back, turn back. I don't want to kill you. Why do you want to die like this? I will kill you. But the young man wouldn't listen. And eventually, Abner killed him. And it was recorded like this in the Bible, that Abner gave that young man all the opportunities in the world to turn away from death. But the young man just wouldn't listen to reason. When the whole army got to where Asahel's body was, the war stopped immediately, because everybody knew that Joab was also a mighty man of war, and this was Joab's younger brother. They knew that Joab would feel the pain in his heart. Somebody had killed his brother. So everybody stopped. Both parties, both are the people from Judah and the people from Israel, they stopped. They stopped the fight. They took a minute silence. They carried the young man's body. They treated him with honor, but he was dead. And Joab was not comfortable with it, was not happy. Later, Abner went to Saul's son, and they had a disagreement over a woman. This Abner decided that, why am I supporting a weakling when I can just hand over the kingdom to David? So Abner decided that he was going to go to Judah and was going to hand over the kingdom of Israel to David, which was what David wanted. David didn't want to have a bloody coup. He wanted to have a bloodless coup in which the kingdom will come to him, but he didn't have to kill anybody in Saul's family to get the kingdom. So David was in in a pickle because he didn't want to set a precedent of death, of killing for the throne. He was already anointed. He knew he would get the throne. He just didn't know how. So Abner came and Abner delivered the throne to David. Abner said, I don't want to work with this weakling again. I will give you the throne, but you will give me a position in your army. And David said, oh, that's fine. They had a deal. Excuse me. They had a deal. David said, oh, Abner, what's up? Thank you for handing over the army to me. Thank you for handing over the kingdom to me. You have a place in my house any day. David was happy about this. So David was happy about this, and as Abner was leaving, they told Joab, oh, the war is over. Abner has come to surrender. David has accepted the surrender. In a few days, we'll move and will become king of Israel. Abner has decided that he was no longer going to support the rule of Saul's son. And Joab said, what? David accepted the surrender? So now there will be no more war? I will now be friends with Abner that killed my brother? No! Abner must die! And immediately Joab turned back, rode a horse, caught up with Abner, and told Abner that he wanted to have a private discussion with him. That the king sent him to come and have a discussion with him, general to general, trusting that he didn't come for war, he came in peace, and that he has spoken with the king, and the king has said to him, all is well. He didn't suspect anything. Abner followed Joab to a corner, and the Bible said Joab stabbed him in cold blood. Vengeance. David wept when David heard. David cursed Joab. David said, this blood is on your head, it's on the head of your children. You have killed a great general, a general that you had no cause to harm. You have harmed a great general. The first lesson from this is, even when it is justified, just like in the case of Abner, anybody can say that Joab has a right to avenge the death of his younger brother. No matter how you look at it, even if the younger brother was silly, even if he was, maybe Abner could have wounded him or taught him a lesson, not basically kill him, because the boy was young and green and there was no way he was going to kill Abner. Maybe Abner went too far by killing that young man. It's subject to discussion. But the revenge was worse, because even when you look at it, the value of what Abner did for David was great, and it was to everybody's benefit that they stopped the war. But vengeance was very strong in the heart of Joab. Many of us here, we've had people offend us. We've suffered in the hand of some people. Some people, they've shown us pepper. Maybe in a relationship. Maybe we lived with somebody while growing up. Maybe we were abused. Maybe somebody lied. Maybe somebody, there are so many ways. There is somebody here on this call who had not been wronged before. It may be small, it may be really big. Some of us are hurting inside our hearts because of it. Some of us are in pain. Some of us, the mere sight of the person that hurt us disturbs us. A lady once wrote to me, maybe she will be on this call now. She was telling me that when she was in the UK, a pastor in Nigeria, she was a member of a church in Nigeria, and then she traveled abroad. After some months or years, the pastor of the church was attending Nigeria also came to the UK to minister, and she heard about it. Oh, Pastor so-and-so is coming to the UK to minister. So she was the one that wrote to the pastor to say, oh, I'd like to join your protocol team to help you, since this will be your first time in the UK. Anything that I can do to help, I'd like to be of help, which is what a proper Christian brother or sister should do. And she said, well, this man of God came to the UK, they had the ministration, it was wonderful. After the administration, he said, oh, lunch, and said, oh, okay. So they not the two of them, about four of them went for lunch. And after lunch, the other two left. She wanted to leave, and then the pastor said, oh, I have a message for you, whatever. And then he found a way to lure her to his room, and then he wanted to sleep with her. He didn't get to sleep with her, but he really wanted to. And she said, of course, she fought him off, and she felt so terrible, like, okay, did I give you an excuse? Did I show any form of, did I even show myself to be this kind of person? Why would you even think of doing this to me? He said, the man, well, apologized in his own way. They parted ways. Then when she came back to Nigeria, she went to church one Sunday, and she saw this guy on the altar ministering. She said immediately she saw him, that she couldn't explain what happened to her in her heart. That she was just, she was seriously disturbed. I understand that. I understand how even sometimes on the surface you will think you've forgotten or forgiven, or you've let go of a matter, only for you to discover that the matter didn't let go of you. That's right in your heart, you are still hurting. How would Joseph have felt? How do you think he would have felt when he saw his brothers, the ones that sold him into slavery, the one that threw him into a well, and then brought him out of the well, that sold him off and shared the money? Do you know one of the reasons why they say Joseph was like Jesus Christ, like a picture of Jesus Christ in the New Testament, was because of the kind of understanding that he had that was beyond normal. Typically, if any of us had that kind of power, even though we may not want to kill our brothers because it will hurt our father, because Joseph couldn't have killed the brothers. If he killed them, Jacob would be devastated. Jacob had 12. One was gone. So if the children begin to kill each other, it would be to the loss of their father. So he wouldn't have killed them. But he could have made their life miserable. He could have done so much. He could have treated them so terribly. But all he was doing, even when he began to test their loyalty, test their resolve, when he began to play hanky-panky games with them, all he was doing was to prove, to see if they had remained the same way or if they had changed. He was a teacher par excellence. Even though he was the 11th born, he was testing their character, testing their behavior. He really didn't have any malice in his heart. That was my point. He wasn't malicious in his heart towards his brothers. Even though, of course, he said they should give them food, then later we'll see how he eventually put them in prison, how he told one of them to go and bring his younger brother, how he put the cup in the younger brother's whatever, and then tried to punish the younger brother to see if they would defend Benjamin. But all that was a test. It was mature. Let me say this. Maturity is fundamental to our mental health, to our emotional health, to our general well-being as Christians. When you hear an information and You are slow to judge it. That's what the Bible says. We should be slow to speak, we should allow issues to settle. Before we take any action, we should prove all things. We shouldn't be so hasty. Oh, you slapped me. Oh, I will kill you. Oh, you did this. Oh, I will do that. Oh, no. We shouldn't be so hasty. Maturity helps. We shouldn't be hasty. We shouldn't fly off the handle, get angry, try to get even, be telling ourselves that somebody must pay. No, because at the end of the day, it takes a lot away from us when we become vindictive, when we decide that at all costs, we must have our way. The Holy Spirit is not a vengeful spirit. Any believer that is full of the Holy Spirit, the last thing you have in your heart to do was vengeance. You can correct in love, you can chastise, you can berate, you can even tongue lash and speak and say, oh, what I've done, this is that. But that I want to get even, that, oh, I will take my pound of flesh, oh, I will take my cut of blood. No. It is absolutely unchristian. Absolutely unchristian. It is not an attribute that a believer should ever have. That's the first thing I want us to know. So if you have been hurt in this meeting, somebody has offended you, family at work, somebody has done something terrible. I'm talking about terrible things. I've been involved in cases where an uncle impregnated his own niece. The pregnancy became ectopic. The girl had to suffer through a lot of stuff. And when we tried to get involved, the man was rich at the time, and we were students. I was in the student fellowship, and it happened to one of our members. And the man was so angry. He said he was going to lock us up. It is his family. The man was so unchristian and unruly. Eventually, when things began to happen to this man, and they said, oh, we should pray for him. And people said, never. I was the one that said, no. We have been called to peace. We were deliberately called by Christ to a ministry of reconciliation. It doesn't matter whether it is a witch or a wizard. We bring up everybody to the knowledge of Christ. This was what Joseph did for his brothers. He brought them to the knowledge of the grace that lives in him. He was a gracious man, a man full of forgiveness, a man full of mercy. He saw his brothers as uncouth, as untrained, as raw, and he decided that he would use his position to train them, to put them in place. They were the ones that came to beg him eventually. We'll get there. They were the ones that, he didn't have to say anything. They were the ones after their father died that went to say, sorry, sir, we are sorry. They were the ones begging. He didn't even try to, to make them kneel down and face the wall, because maybe if it were me, maybe at least this I will do is, oh God, 24 strokes of the cane. I'm not angry. I just want you guys to experience a little bit of what I suffered. So all of you, just take off your trouser, lie face down, get me a very good cane. Yeah, this is not commensurate to your, but I want you to feel a little bit of sting. 24 per person, just so that I can laugh. He didn't even do that. Wow, what a man. It is good that our Christian character is tempered with grace. We have come to know grace. Grace is a person and it lives in us. It is in us. Grace is as expression, full expression in our lives. I say it all the time, that I will never abuse the grace of God upon my life. I will never use the grace He has given unto me to become injurious to others. Apostle Paul said that, why shouldn't you be the one that is wronged? Why don't you take the wrong? Why must you try to fight back, to win back, to even among Christians? No. I'll give you something that happened. That is the second thing I'm going to say. So sometimes people try to take advantage of you because you are a Christian. That one, It's not, I'm trying to make you see the balance to this. So one day I was driving, I was in Lagos, I was driving, and this guy suddenly came out of nowhere and said, oh, I had crossed the line, that there's one white line, I had crossed it, and that means I've offended the government. I said, okay, can you please give me a ticket so that I can pay the fine? I don't mind paying fines. If I've done something wrong, I don't have to run, I will pay the fine. So the guy said, oh, okay, wind down your window. I wound down. Then he put his hand in my car, opened the door, and started my car. Then he said, I wanted to give me something for lunch. I said, oh, I don't bribe people. I'm sorry. That it's against my own principle. He said, no, it's not bribe. He's just hungry. That's just give me something to eat. Okay. I said, oh, I have 1,000 out there. You can take it. But it's not bribe. You said you are hungry. He said, yes. I gave him. Then he said I should turn. I turned. Then he said, oh, you will drop me in my office because I came down from a vehicle. I came down from a vehicle and the vehicle has left. So you will take me to my office, you drop me at the office. I said, okay. And I drove him to the office. When I got there, I parked. Then he said, yes, now that I've brought you here, you have to pay 150,000 naira fine. I said, okay, okay, no problem. Okay, where do I pay? Are you going to give me a ticket to pay to the bank? He said, no. He said the lady should bring POS. Ha ha. I started laughing. I said, you want to collect my money to your own account? He said, yes. I said, I want a Lagos State account where I can pay this fine. If you don't give me a Lagos State account, if I should pick my phone and make a call, everybody here will lose their job. I felt I've wronged, I did something wrong, and I followed you here. But following you here does not make me a foolish person. He said, oh, but you're a pastor. I said, oh, more of the reason why I have to teach you a lesson. So I told him to get out from my car. He went down. I didn't move. He went to call the other guys. They came. I said, give me a Lagos State account where I can pay. They said, no, this place, we don't want you to pay. Just give us 75,000. Pay it to us. So you know what I did? I came down from my car. I picked a speck of dust. I showed it to all of them. I said, if I give you 1 naira, within 7 days, one by one, they will bury all of you. They all ran away. Yeah, they ran because it was so sure for me. So all of them left me. I said, I'm not leaving. I said, oh, this speck of dust is not coming down. If I throw it down, you're dead. As I'm holding it, your life is in my hand. You have to understand that you have taken a man of authority, and I will show you what it means to deceive a man that you thought was gullible because he's a man of God. I'm not one of those kind. My kind do not take kindly to being taken advantage of. All of them gathered. They began to beg. Pastor, please, you are Adeboye's son. We have seen the sticker of Redeem on your car. They begged. And after that, I said, okay, get me a cup of water. So they got it for me. I washed off the sand. And then I prayed for them. I told them that you must understand that in order to do what is right, you must not provoke anybody into thinking that you are making a fool of them. I'm not that kind of pastor. Any Christian is not that kind of Christian that you can just decide that you are hungry, you want to take their money, not to the government, to your own pocket, lying and cheating and playing coy. Do you know the 1,000 I gave that guy to eat? They returned it to me. And they all went on their knees and they said they were sorry. But that is the balance. When people despitefully use you, Jesus Christ said, forgive them. He also told us that, hey, we don't be as wise as serpent, but as gentle as a dove. You shouldn't, if you are in a position where you can extricate yourself from issues, don't be naive and say, I'm suffering for Christ. No, you are not suffering for Christ like that. But if somebody had spitefully used you before, let it go. But if now you are in a position not to allow it to happen, I beg you, don't allow it to happen. Ensure that the grace that you have does not subject itself to demonic earthly elements simply because you are a Christian. I'm going to leave you on that note because our time is fast spent. Next week, maybe I'll send a recording. If I cannot send a recording, then we'll see in 2 weeks' time. Has somebody been blessed tonight?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The blessed of the Lord shout glory.
Glory.